maybe I should be doing something that's really exciting and not something that's just sort of good.
Welcome to 10 Minute Travels. With me, as always, is Phil Freeman.
And with me, as always, is Shane Patrick. And we have with us Charles Fleming, adventurer, journalist, motorcyclist. And if you want to learn anything more about 10 Minute Travels or what we do, check out 10minutetravels.com.
Let's get right to it, shall we? Can we go back to your time doing the test drive stuff in your career?
Sure.
I had my grandmother gave all of her grandkids a choice of magazine you could get for your birthday. And I got Motor Trend for a while. And I remember just wondering about those test driver folks, like if they were real drivers who someone else did the writing. Do they just toss you a set of keys and say, bring it back whenever you feel like it? How does that go?
Well, there is a great culture of automobile writers, and they are on a circuit. It's similar in motorcycles, but it's very, very rigid and ordained in the car world that, Chevrolet is going to be introducing this, or Maserati is going to be introducing that, or Fiat, or fill in the blank, Tesla. And the known auto writers are all invited to come on the reveal. So they're all flown to a fancy destination. They all stay overnight in a very fancy hotel. They're fed extremely well. The next morning, they are given a presentation on here's the new vehicle, here's why it's exciting, here's what's new about it, here's why we love it, here's why we think you're going to love it. Okay, so you guys, you two, you go with him, you two, you go with him, and you get in the car. There's a set route. It's programmed into the car's navigation system, and you're going to drive for an hour, switch drivers, drive for an hour, stop for lunch, drive for an hour, stop for coffee, drive for an hour, and you're back at the hotel. And that's what you do Thursday and Friday. And then Monday and Tuesday, you leave Spain and you go to England, and now you do the new Jaguar. And then the middle of next week, you fly back to the United States because it's the new Mustang. And they're just on this circuit. And it seems very exotic and a life of great privilege because, oh my God, you were the first one to drive the new Rolls Royce or the new Ferrari or the new, oh my heavens, you got to go drive a Ferrari in the Alps, and then you stay in these 5-star hotels and they feed you this most amazing food. But for the people who are on that circuit, it gets kind of tedious, strangely. Because I worked for the LA Times, which was at that time one of only 2 newspapers in the country that would not allow you to have anyone pay for anything for you, I didn't go on all of those junkets. I only attended the ones that were within my budget. So that was mostly car reveals and car loans here in California. But what that meant was every time there was a new fill in the blank, I wouldn't necessarily go on the junction, but the junket, but the following week, someone would bring me this brand new spanking thing and say, "Can we have it back by next Tuesday?" And I would have it for a week and a half to do with, whatever I wanted. And then I would take my notes and do my studying and do my driving and get the photographer to come with me to shoot pictures and to shoot video. And then I would write it up. And then the next day there would be another car. And it was really fun and it was really exotic. And one of the reasons I left that job was I was in a new, I think I was in a new Ferrari. I should know. No, I was in a Lamborghini. I was on a racetrack. I was coming off the straight at about 140 miles an hour. I was coming into the turn and dropping down to what I thought would be a pretty safe 100 mile an hour. And I was going through the bank turn at 100. And I thought to myself, if I don't take extra laps, I can get back into my car, get back to the office and beat the traffic and start writing this up today. And my next thought was, I'm not the right guy for this job anymore. Because if
Right,
what I'm
became a
thinking
grind.
going into the bank turn at 5 miles an hour in a brand new Lamborghini, if what you're thinking is, I should cut this short so I can get back to the office,
Yeah.
you are not the right guy for this job. It has gotten boring, and somebody else should be in this seat
And how long did that take for you? Like 3 years or?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 years that I did that. And I mean, I had a lot of fun, and I met a lot of fantastic people, and I drove some amazing cars. Uh, and it turns out I'm not really a car guy, because I was also doing motorcycles at the same time, and that's what really got me excited. There's a new Ducati, there's a new Triumph. That's what got me. That's what I was interested in, and I would do the cars because those were the stories that got the most hits, and that a lot more people were interested in the new Tesla Model X than were interested in any motorcycle that was going to be produced by anybody, just the pure numbers of it. But that's what I liked the best. So when I left the LA Times, I haven't written a car story since then. I don't believe, but I've written a lot of motorcycle stories because it turns out that's more my thing.
Way to self-assess.
Well, it sort of comes with age. You start looking at that big clock on the wall and thinking, it is getting late, isn't it? Like, how much more time do I have, and how much more of it should I spend doing things that I'm not that crazy about? That's why I don't work at the LA Times anymore. It was a great place to work. I had a lot of friends there. I was very well paid and doing work that I was proud of. But, at a certain point, you think, maybe I should be doing something that's really exciting and not something that's just sort of good. I'd rather roll the dice for great than just be satisfied with good. It'll probably kill me, but
Well, we all got to go.
Die laughing, I think, is the thing.
Well, Charles, I have to say, fantastic talking with you. Shane, do you have anything else burning for questions?
Well, I just like a comment, a thing that popped into my head where Charles was talking about the thing I think is going to be the thing ends up not being the thing. That reminded me of the creator of The Simpsons, Matt Groening, when he was invited in to sell that show. He told them all about The Simpsons because he had what he thought was his good idea was about a family of bunnies. And he was saving that for himself because he didn't want them to steal his great idea. And presumably he still has that on the back burner in case The Simpsons don't work out.
Yeah, the jury's a little out on that, I guess, still. But
right. But it struck me, that the choices we make, and we don't know. You don't know till you know.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing about the keeping the open mind is, we all. I mean, what's that cliche? If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan. Like, we all think we know where we're going, but we don't know where we're going. I mean, just look at the lives of the people around you. And I mean, even if we did and we could determine it and we were sure about it, how exciting is that? To know I'm going to be doing this and it's not going to change and it's going to be, I mean, I guess for some sort of a person, that's exactly what they want. But I don't know. I can't imagine that feeling like a very satisfying or very memorable life. I mean, I know both of you have lived, and most of the people you hang out with have lived kind of on the edge of the uncertainty and the enough money, not enough money, safe, not safe, lonely, not lonely. Like that kind of, again, back to that, the freedom of not knowing, the freedom of uncertainty, the freedom of unplanned. It's not always the most comfortable place to be, but boy, it certainly seems more rewarding to me.
That was Charles Fleming, journalist, adventurer, walker. And if you want to learn anything else about 10-Minute Travels or whatever we do, check out 10minutetravels.com.
And we want to remind you to make sure your sense of humor matches your sense of adventure. And please like, subscribe, and share this podcast on all the platforms.